Good to see the early birds get the mask. Thanks for joining early. We're just going to give a few minutes to set up and have everyone filter in. But welcome to another weekly call, Town Hall on X. Hey, action. Welcome. I just made you speaker.
What's going on, Corey?
Hey.
Man, I am excited. Sorry, I did have to do the whole pricing thing and share it out with the world because I don't feel like not enough people are talking about it, given everything that's been going on. And I'm just pumped, man. It's more than just, it's a nice project. Like we're bringing in people. People are actually excited about what's going on. They're buying a token. And I put you in a bad spot because you're not supposed to talk about price, huh?
It's okay. All you got to do is look at the market. What's the market saying? They love MASQ. And there's not a coincidence there, where energy goes, energy flows. I spent a lot of energy even in my COVID state last week. I'm recovered now pretty much, but was spending a lot of time and energy with the team, with the community, and also with some, really key people in the background that I'm meeting, partners and stuff. So that energy's flowed where it should go. So this is what you see.
Yeah, it says a reflection of all the hard work that's been put in for the last months. And like when I say months, I'm talking about like dozens of months.
Many months, many moons, many moons.
And this is testnet. This is not even the full thing. This is that's the most exciting part. Like timing wise, I know you're not supposed to be timing the market. It's time in the market that's supposed to count. But man, like it's just really, really perfect as far as like when to get MASQ token out and everything going, because we're leading up to a bull run. Like let's be serious. It's been bearish for a while. And seeing the excitement, like it's just the right time for this thing to take off, and get people excited about the things that matter. Because hey, guess what happens during a bull market? People get scammed all the time. And if there's like a solution and something out there that will help people understand that privacy first actually matters, man, that's the thing I want to be a part of. Are you going to tell people a little bit more about who you've been talking to, like, or what else is going on? Or are you just gonna make me seal my lips and hold on to that one?
Well, the alpha is you can find the alpha if you know where to seek, right? But we always kind of joke about it and chat about it and squeeze the juice, as you say sometimes. But there is a lot of cool stuff I can hint at and drop today. But just for those who are filtering in, see a lot of the OGs here, which is awesome. Shout out to all you guys and girls joining in every week, supporting us, giving us some love, and also sharing out. I'm sure you all are sharing out the Spaces link. We want to see the Spaces grow every week. Shout out to a guy I did a live stream with yesterday too, Ron BTC. He's got a very cool, down to earth YouTube channel. I think last I checked, they had 500 viewers on that live stream, which is like really impressive. That's more than filtered through our weekly Spaces. So yeah, I'd love to see this getting up to 500 listeners, every week. That'd be really cool to see as well.
I mean, it's kind of crazy. Like the viewership or listening-ship of Spaces is definitely down. Last week, right as soon as I finished the space, with you, Corey, I hopped over to Altcoin Daily and Uni from the Wizards from Taproot Wizards on Bitcoin, and there's like 110 people listening in. So like numbers are down across the board as far, well, not for everybody. The people that buy listeners are still getting those high numbers. So that's still happening. But if you're not purchasing bots to listen to you, the numbers are down, which is not a bad thing. It's just that the space has been weeded out of the things that don't matter, and the people that actually care about what's happening here, they're sticking around, they're learning, they're growing. And if they held MASQ, they're up over 100% over the last 30 days.
Yeah, the numbers on there are like crazy. I don't look very often. I mean, obviously, it's number one, it's a distraction for me because it emotes different feelings when you look at that side. But it's in a way, if I do look at it, what it does do is it energizes me because it's like, wow, we're finally, after 4 years of hard work, late nights to 2, 3 a.m., telling the wife why I'm staying up so late and not going to sleep at the same time as the rest of the family. Like, you kind of say to yourself, wow, like the market is seeing that we are a valuable project. Like, I don't care about the token itself with the work, like the USD, whatever, value. I'm looking at, wow, the users are here, they're coming. They see that this is something that is important in the space and they want to try it. So I said this in the live stream yesterday. I look at on-chain metrics. Like, that's what drives my KPIs. I don't look at charts. I look at on-chain metrics, and the number one thing I see, which is amazing, week over week, month over month, is the number of holders of our community, our utility token, right? If that's going up, that means our user count's going up. The premium count of users using MASQ Premium is going up, and more people believe in the project. Now, to remind people, you don't know what that true stat is, because if you do have centralized exchanges, that's one wallet. So there could be 1,000 more supporters of MASQ on a centralized exchange, which we have one listing, and that could change in the before the end of the year. But like that's pretty good. Like, so I'll give some stats later because our
That was really
numbers
casual. That was so casual. That could change before the end of the year.
Dude, I'm hiding the alpha in plain sight, you guys. We'll see who listens in closely. I want people to like work for this. I'm not gonna just drop it like a leaky faucet, my friend. I'm a plumber. It's all sealed up.
That's hilarious, man. Yeah, I mean, you're dead on. You've said a lot, and like, if people are looking, if people check out who's following MASQ, who the new followers of MASQ,
Yeah.
are, like, I think that they would see a lot of things that are happening that most people don't even realize, and all it takes is looking a little bit deeper, and like that excitement, like, hey, price is up, okay, so. Like, it's the same thing that the way I run my, my Twitter. Like, I don't care how many followers I have. I care who my followers are. That is way more important. And that metric sometimes gets skewed. The same way that I just talked about how people purchase bots to, fill in their spaces. Like, it's the same idea. Like, people buy people to follow them. That happens all the time. And slowly it's getting a little bit better here and there. People are losing a bunch of followers, and hope, as Musk kind of implements that dollar to be on this platform, it's going to get better over time. But ultimately, hey, who just tell me who's following MASQ. That's the most important thing. And I get excited, and I've done this multiple times where I actually go in there and I'm like, all right, so who's following MASQ right now? Like, who is it that I know that's following MASQ, but also any hotshots that are now following MASQ? Because that's always a big one for me as well. It's like, oh, we're getting that guy's attention. That's important. That's interesting. So yeah, there's a lot of cool things, like you said, hiding in plain sight. It's just a matter of looking a little bit deeper.
Yeah, the last week I spoke to some really cool people. I was trying not to be overwhelmed with the caliber, or the what I guess you could say, the notoriety of the people that I got to sit with, and it was really cool. I mean, it was cool just to like talk casually to people who like have been in the space for a long time. But I spoke to several. I was trying to count them up. I think I spoke to 4 or 5, five, top sort of people in the space. Like, some of them were founders, some of them are CEOs. A couple of them have followed our project this week. But one that was really cool was, and he's been like tagging me on Twitter, and like we're chatting back and forth. He's like the king of connections, man. He's like connecting me with all sorts of like other builders and departments in different places we already exist that are head of growth or grants. Like, I'm getting the right attention with the right people, all for the ecosystem, right? All to like give us that leg up, so the strategy can be executed in the timelines where it's like, okay, cool, we just had a big move this week. Okay, now next week there's another big move. Then the next week there's another big move. then it's like, so to the end of the year, there might be like boom, 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 boom. This is insane, you know, and then maybe that times the bull run, who knows? But like, that's super cool because I see everything lining up behind the scenes. Like, obviously, I'm the wizard at the moment because I know what's going on. But we talk about it here. So those who are listening and who are committed listeners every week, like, you're in the know, like, you've got the edge. If you want other people to find out about us and learn about us and get excited, like, invite them into the space here. They, you know, we want to tell people about MASQ just to use it and try it. But also, you hear it first. You hear it here. And one thing I was actually hoping to see by now, maybe we have to wait till we're bigger, or maybe someone will pick it up after I say this. I love how some communities are so passionate when there's an AMA or a live stream. There's always like, somehow over time, there's like one committed, like ultra passionate community guy who like writes up a set of notes and summarizes it and then posts it on, you know, Discord and Twitter for the community. Say, hey man, if you missed the AMA with our project lead, like here's a summary, and like they write all these really good notes. Like, if someone picks that up, like, you're going to be a valuable person in the community, man. Like, I'd love to see that and help fill people in. Like, obviously you keep the alpha for yourself maybe, but yeah, maybe one day that'll happen for us. I'm not going to, you know, pick someone out of the crowd and tell them to do it.
So who are you picking?
Well, it can't be you and it can't be me. So there's only a few people live or the ones listening. Someone will pick it up. Should we award someone who does it? Maybe. We'll have to see.
Funny enough, I think that we forget that, you know, the crowd that listens in live might be small, but people are listening to this after the fact as well. Like for me, it's right now it's 5:11 p.m. You know, in the at night now. Like, you know, I got kids are in the house, like, they're having dinner, they're like doing their thing. So like, it's not the ideal time for everyone. So, you know, having that ability to come back and kind of listen to, hey, what's happening, what's going on with the space. People do listen in and they listen back to what's going on, what's happening, because you do tend to drop a lot of fun stuff, even when you don't mean to. And I'm not pushing you to do it. It's not my fault.
No, it's all good, man. It's all part of it, right? It's got to be organic. It's got to be real. It's got to be raw. That's how, you know, you ask the questions. If you don't ask, you don't receive. That's the old, you know, the old saying. But yeah, I'm real excited for the shoulders that we're rubbing with. And that's not, you know, there's more. Like I've actually been so busy because I had COVID, I had to postpone a lot of things in different time zones. I'm still booked up for the next 4 days of catching up with team meetings, hiring meetings, marketing meetings with partners, lining up some additions to the Web3 dApp store, our next major partner we're going to launch. So like, yeah, there's heaps going on, man. So I can only maybe pick one or two to mention. But one thing too, on the dev side, or those who are testing, we just had a 24-hour testing session. We used to do this a little while back. So those who are real keen to just jump in and have a bit of camaraderie in the community, come into our Discord. I think Wednesdays UTC, they're starting kind of like a one-day test session. So anyone can jump in. Some of the teammates and OGs are on our Discord video channel, voice channel, and some of them screen share, some of them play games, and it's all through the MASQ browser. People have gone in there and said, hey, you know, I'm like, what does this button do? Or like, how do I use this feature? And like, people will talk to each other. And I hope that grows too, because like, what would be really cool is maybe even to do some gaming live, like some browser games, and play across MASQ, you know, like get that sort of interaction going. So that started up. If you guys want to get in and try it, and try, you know, do it with a bit of people that are, it's like a bit of a team thing. I mean, that'd be cool. Community event.
Oh, I'm already thinking we can do some Scribble and things like that. That'd be a blast.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
we'll do prizes, giveaways.
I'd pitch in for some MASQ tokens to give away for that sort of thing, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, we want to get that moving and test the waters a bit. So I think it was I'll have to get back with the community team. But yeah, there's like a bunch of people that came in and out and tested and just tried it live. We're pushing out a new version very soon. You don't have to do anything if you're already a user. It's just going to update with the little button you click on your browser. So that's cool. 0.8.4. We've had some quick turnaround on some fixes there. You'll see some better connection improvements again. Once again, we're always trying to optimize that area too. So hopefully every time you connect, it's going to succeed on the first try. couple things with MetaMask we fixed. You know, there was an issue with windows and tabs opening from the extension because they've changed their extension quite a bit in the last month, which not really broke things, but just kind of like made things a bit quirky. So we fixed that and had some other visual improvements. So we'll release a changelog, and we're going to also push the latest version of Electron and Chromium. So we have the security downstream as well, which I think there was some major patches from Chromium and Chrome, just to make sure it's like, you know, a safe, the safest version you can have. Not that we know of anything bad, but always want to keep that up to date. So yeah, keep an eye out for that in the next few days as well.
Now, real quick question, since you brought up that button, are you getting, like, I don't know how much tracking data you were even able to capture, but is that a feature, the quick update button, that people are actually taking advantage of? Has that been successful?
Well, we just base it on feedback just from the users directly in the channels. Like, we don't capture any analytics or anything. So like, that's good that you kind of ask, because, you know, we don't track who's, you know, downloading the update or downloading the browser, besides like a regional, oh, hey, this many users from this region of the world has clicked a link or something, but not from the browser itself, just from our download location hosted. But yeah, we're looking at some ways to do that in a privacy-centric way. Like, one way we were thinking of doing it actually is the way we use our website analytics. We use a platform called plausible.io. They're really good, super privacy-centric, an alternative to Google Analytics. And they do offer a JavaScript sort of little script you can run. They say you can put it in an app, and it will just like ping their zero knowledge process, the way they, you know, capture which regions people are from, like how many clicks per week or per day, whatever. It can capture it and not capture any user information. So they don't keep cookies. They don't like record your IP. I think it's deleted if there is any rotating logs for their servers or whatever. It's deleted every hour, stuff like that. And they keep zero information. So we're looking at doing that, because then that might be able to kind of give us a little idea of like, cool, how many users are online each month? How many users are using an older version or the latest version? Yeah, but I feel like most people do click on it and it just updates. And most people have said it's working. I haven't seen anyone say it's crashed this, you know, the browser system and it doesn't come up. So that's good. I guess no news is good news sometimes, but I'd rather hear the news. Like,
all right, so every time I click the button, it closes the browser before opening the new version.
Yeah, it doesn't. It does have to shut itself down and open again. So as long as it's reopening, that should work. Is that what's happening?
That's what's happening. That was a joke. It's
working. Oh, good. Oh, I was going to say, does it crash in your system actually? Come on, man. You're killing me,
it's doing what it's supposed to. It's closing it and opening it back again, just the way I want it.
You had me there. You're like, I thought you said that something was wrong. I'm like, oh man, I got to bug hunt this now because of this guy.
No. Yeah, I don't recommend using MASQ or installing it for the first time if you're in a flight. I will say that that's not the most reliable thing. But other than that, I haven't had any issues.
Actually, you tried to use it on a flight, didn't you? I think you mentioned that before.
I did. I have. Yeah, it works. Like the browser itself works on a flight. Getting it installed was a pain. It was just rough. Like, it was trying, like, finding nodes on the flight was a mess, because I mean, I had potato speed internet up there. It wasn't Starlink. It was just it was slow as can be, and everybody was on it. It was not fun. I will say that was not a very pleasant experience. And I tried different VPNs while I was up there as well, and none of them worked. So yeah, there's that too.
Wow. So no VPNs work in the air, but the MASQ somehow did, right? You could still browse somehow?
So I couldn't install it, but browsing I was able to. But like I had hardware with me that I tried to use on a flight, and like the internet was just so bad that it wasn't even working. Like, it just didn't work. But I did get through with MASQ. I did open some things up. Don't recommend you trying YouTube while you're flying through MASQ. That doesn't work very well. But yeah, like just basic browsing And I had to do a couple of transactions while I was in that flight. So I used MASQ for that, and that worked out really well.
Oh, wow. No, it's cool to hear like the different, ways people are trying to use it and stuff. Cause yeah, I'm curious because I have had a bunch of users say, oh, I actually tried it with my VPN that I normally use on at the same time, and it seemed to still work. So somehow it's actually utilizing their VPN, I think, as it must be doing an extra hop. So I don't know if the speed was affected badly or whatever, but they said it was usable, like it wasn't dial-up type speed. It was slow, it may be slower, but yeah, I found that interesting. Like, so you could kind of layer your privacy tools with the VPN. I guess it sacrifices a bit of speed, but yeah, hopefully people will just opt for MASQ for different uses of what they want privacy for, and then maybe VPN might be for something specific. Like we understand we don't have the location choice yet for where you can choose your exit node or your location of content. So people will probably lean into VPNs for that, which it is a key benefit that you use VPNs for. Like if I want Canada Netflix for whatever reason, I have to go onto a VPN and pick Canada, and it would do it.
The Canadians in South Park are always the best.
Yeah, that's what I thought, man. They don't censor that stuff yet. They don't censor it yet.
But you said that it's not available yet on MASQ. Is that right?
Yeah, so that is a feature we're still developing. It is quite a complex one. I think I did talk about it yesterday on the live stream because you have to consider all the security aspects of nodes now, because right now nodes don't tell each other where in the world they are, right? They might not give an IP at all, but they also don't tell what region they're in. So you sort of have to design a feature like that in a way that nodes can kind of pseudo know where different nodes might be in the world, and also have a way that it's verified that it's true. Like, let's say like a node nearby says, hey, I'm in USA, you can use me. Like, we have to make sure that there's a layer that also checks on that node itself, says, okay, this is an IP in the US, not faking like, oh, I'm in Europe and I'm saying I'm in the US, and then that node is used and none of the stuff is actually, where it's supposed to be, that sort of thing. But also they're not making it any kind of like knowledge vulnerability where nodes are giving too much information to nearby other nodes where they don't want to. So we might have it as an opt-in maybe for the nodes who are serving, where you might not want to like broadcast, hey, I'm an American user, so you can use me. You can keep it anonymous and it's just random. Yeah, there's lots of things to consider with that. So that's why that one is a more complex goal on the feature map. So it'll be in the next year, 2024, that we're aiming to fully start, working on that feature. It's still in the scoping phase.
Us Americans are very proud to be Americans, and they usually don't have an issue saying so.
That's true, man. Yeah, it's still a very free country in a lot of ways.
But jokes aside, like essentially, like there is an opportunity to implement zero knowledge proof for something along, as far as location identification, right?
Yeah, it's something we do keep looking into, because like the ZK tech space is getting better and better, and it's just how do you implement that into the tech stack, right? So right now, the node software, I call it MASQ core. That's probably the easiest way to talk about it, because there's node in different things and different languages and different software already called node. So MASQ core, right? Most of that exists on the user's machine isolated. So you're just running on your own machine. So it actually doesn't need knowledge of anything to start. Where it needs knowledge, and limited knowledge, is it just needs to know who are some entry node peers that I can join to get into the mesh. And when you click start on your browser, when you click the power button, that's what's happening. It's connecting to the network. It's picking several random nodes that are sort of bootstrapped, and there's an API set up for it to fetch random ones, enter you into the mesh, and then you get a neighborhood of nodes around you. It could be 40, 50, 60, 80, 100. All of those nodes are not known besides a public key. Kind of like wallets, right? There's a public key and a private key. So your peers around you, your neighbors, it's like driving down a street, but not knowing the name of the street. You just see numbers on mailboxes. You see them, you know the numbers on the mailboxes, and you can hop between them. You don't need to know any IP addresses. So there's kind of like layers of zero knowledge. Like you could take that further and somehow integrate something else that could be consistently the same every time a MASQ user enters the network, and have it zero knowledge. So yeah, there's probably ways to implement it. What the benefits will be, it's kind of like you got to scope out, like if we're going to do that work, like what is the best value it's going to add, whether it's, persistence on the network or something. But I'm sure there's ways to do it.
I love when you talk techie to me like that. This is actually the highlight of my day. Yeah.
ZK. So that's your buzzword now, eh? ZK?
Yeah, one of them. What about AI? Is that coming to MASQ?
AI. Yeah, we've had a few users ask for various tools and stuff, and hey, can you incorporate AI? I mean, we've looked at that too. Like, there's a few areas we think it could be helpful, but again, like we have a sort of trend within our, not a trend, but sort of a perspective on how we integrate other tech. It's a lot easier to find like a tech niche leader who's doing it really well and like leveraging them as an integration rather than try and build something from scratch and try and chuck it in ourselves, because number one, that's costly, and you want to make sure it's something users want. So one area that has come up a few times so far from our users is having autocomplete on the URL bar, right? Like for searching. Some browsers do that. I think DuckDuckGo and a few others have an API that supposedly let you autocomplete. So we could integrate that as a form of AI. Some people are, have asked for AI chatbots or some kind of like chat client for ChatGPT and whatnot. We kind of want to avoid that because our view of OpenAI is that they're a centralized silo of personal data, and they are actually probably fighting class action lawsuits right now over that exact thing. We don't want to encourage that. And so if we put that in the browser, then we're kind of saying like, we're okay endorsing people to use ChatGPT out of the box or OpenAI tech. So we're kind of like not leaning into it that far. But I'm sure there's use cases people come up with and users will come up with that we will think is aligned with that and try and do it.
Fine. Or you twisted my arm. I'll get you in contact with a company that's doing some of that for our new partnership this week. Okay.
Awesome. Their founder's name is not Sam, is it?
No, it is not Sam.
Okay, just checking. All Sams are not all the leaders of things, but I'm like,
don't worry. This is not Q Star, man. Q Star is not happening.
Why is it that some of the weirdest actors are Sams? Like in recent time, we've had a lot of Sams come and go, and it's really strange. They're all like these cultic leaders,
I mean, I think that the most normal Sam we've seen in a while has definitely been that one. I think that the movie was shot around your neck of the woods. What's that one? You remember that?
The little short guy, yes.
The little one, yes.
Yeah, with the hairy feet.
That's it.
Yeah, I swear I saw him in town. He was wasted. He was falling into the street and stuff. I was like, Sam, get off the road, man. Stop searching for that ring. You got to search for your house, bro. Get home.
Too funny, man. Oh, all right. Oh, I got to do that reminder. If anybody's got questions, like this is the time. Just feel free to raise your hand. Like if you guys got anything that you want to ask, anything you want to know, two things. You got that hand you can raise. You can also drop a comment on the bottom right-hand corner of this space. And that's where you also repost, reshare this thing so more people know about what's going on within the MASQ ecosystem. It's kind of cool saying MASQ ecosystem. I got to say that. Like it's more than just a browser. It's more than just a VPN. Like it's an ecosystem, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that's the thing that excites me. Like it's cool how we started as a privacy focused tool, or I guess a peer privacy browsing tool, but like that whole space has broadened so much. And I did say a lot of this on the live stream yesterday, which I thought like resonated more the more I said it. It was, how the browser is a gateway, right, of users to now introduce themselves to Web3. Like it's an experience that you don't get in a typical browser. Most browsers are designed for Web 2 or 2.5, some of them say that they're touting, but really there's no like one that's trying to be a native Web3 experience. So I feel like that's our opportunity, and that's a unique selling point for us compared to any other browser out there, is that we're trying to deliver a Web3 space where users can jump in and things are easy to find, easy to use, easy to introduce to that tech of Web3 space, but not have to understand all of the nuanced like layers and all the crazy, complex things happening under the hood. It's made in an easy way to use and try out. So we're doing our best to deliver that. And with that, we might have our first question coming up here. Kite is the name, and invite you.
I don't have that. I don't have that co-host today, so I have not seen the hands.
Yeah, I should change you to co-host while I've got a chance. All right, I think Kite, you should be up as a speaker shortly. There you go. Yeah, I can hear you, mate.
Oh, sweet. Okay. So I was just wondering, with MASQ, what advantages do you guys have over something like the basic attention token or ATOR?
Good question. Good question. We get a lot of comparison type questions. So, I do think, firstly, whatever I say about other projects, I'm always collaborative in the sense that I feel like there's space for everybody. So some people say, well, how are you different? I've got lots of ways we're different. I also don't view everyone as a competitor. So we just have different approaches. So in terms of Brave, I'd probably say the main thing that sets us apart is we haven't modeled our browser or our tech around the attention age that we're in, right? And when I say attention age, you can see almost everything around us that's monetized is about people's attention. And so number one, that's ads. Number one, that's clicks. Number one, that's monetizing your data. So we don't model any of our stuff around that. So we're not participating in that attention age in a sense. We're kind of making it peer-to-peer, decentralized, how we feel it should be for Web3. So in terms of how that relates to our token, so you mentioned BAT, that's the ecosystem, if you want to call it, or the utility token for Brave. MASQ is a utility token purely within the browser network and the MASQ private network. And so it's peer-to-peer. People are using it to browse the network from their peers with their bandwidth that they're sharing, and also earn it from peers for sharing. So there's a bunch more utility features that are a part of that. And the main one also is the premium features that you get in the browser if you hold MASQ. So we know that's a big, and it stands to be a very big component of the utility of the token. So right now, like when people look at projects, you want to see a token that has utility and that adds value to users holding it. Those are basically the core of how that works for us. Moving over to ATOR, like I've got a lot of perspectives on ATOR. Like they've pivoted now, and I won't comment on all the stuff that was happening over the last week in their camp, but they've certainly pivoted strongly to basically say we're going to make our own version of Tor. So, I mean, all I can say with that is that we have our own version of a mesh network. We haven't copied Tor because we built it from the ground up, and we also are differentiated from VPNs in the sense that we're multi-hop, and it's not a centralized entity controlling the servers. So, in that sense, we're very different. ATOR may very well succeed with that, but they've also coupled they've decided to go the hardware route. So the defining difference there is that we have no hardware required. We're just a browser software or MASQ core. If you want to run it headless or vanilla from the source code, you can compile it on a machine, which could be a Raspberry Pi, which could be an Arduino board or a server or WOpenRT supported router. Technically, you could make a Pi-hole sort of thing out of a router at home and run MASQ on it. So everything connected to the router goes through MASQ. So people have done it already. So we were very different in that way. We're not relying on hardware. Number one, we don't want users to have to pay to try and participate in what should be a permissionless network, right? If you have a network that you have to buy hardware for, you have to invest money for, you have to buy a token just to even try it, which again, ours, you can try it without tokens actually. There's a grace period to use the network when you first go on. Those things are barriers to entry. So you have a user friction there, adopting a mass adoption phase, because people have to buy those things and enter the network. So hopefully that kind of like gives you some high level differences there. But I won't comment about their tokens too much. You know, everyone does their own thing with that stuff. Hopefully I've answered a lot of that for you.
Yeah, fantastic. That makes a lot of sense. It all sounds great. And just a bit of an ego question. Do you think you can overtake 8 or MCAP within the next month?
No comment. What I will say about that, if I do make any comment, it's more of a general comment. There we go. Cue the drum roll. I can see there's an incredible amount of marketing being done by them, by Ator, and that's fine. That's a business decision, a business strategy. They've got some names they're utilizing to become partners, and whatever I think investment or whatever they're doing to grow, which is great. What we've done in the last 4 years is organic. We've never paid for marketing. We've done it, like, I think maybe 2.5, 3 years ago, we did 1 or 2 interviews or got an influencer to talk about MASQ once or twice. We decided from there on we really never wanted to do it again because it didn't give us the desired effect or attract the quality of users we wanted for our community. And so that's something, you know, we've reflected on a long time. But all you've seen, again, you know, we might say a month time frame because that's part of your question. Over the last month, we spent $0 in marketing. So there's no reason for me to say we won't help do marketing with any paid like versions of that or decisions to do that. But I think it would be hard to compete with something like what they're doing. They're probably doing quite a bit of spending on that to do it, and good on them. Like they can go and do that. So I don't want to try and compete with that. So all I'll say is, you know, whatever happens, happens. The market will speak for that, whether we do or don't. But we're not going to spend any money trying to chase that clout. So what you see is what you get here, and it's organic and it's working. So I'm the type of guy that if it's not broke, don't try and fix it, or don't try and pivot really fast just to try and chase other people in the space. And so far that's helped us go on our path really well. So yeah, so I can't make any predictions, my friend. I'm sorry.
That's interesting. I don't know if you've heard of Neo Tokyo. That's how I initially found out about this project, just through a few community members there. And I had a look at just everything that you guys have, and it looks really interesting. Would you ever consider reaching out to someone like Alex Becker in the future on the possibility of joining Neo Tokyo? It'd be really cool to have, you know, more founders in there, and I think it's just a really good network.
Yeah, cool. Drop a link in the comments there. To be fair, I haven't heard of Neo Tokyo, but if they're a group of intellectual like-minded people, they believe in the same vision we have of a peer-owned network where the users are the network, and where privacy is extremely important, if not paramount, then they would be well aligned for us to collaborate and stuff. So yeah, I'm totally keen to explore that. And I swear I've heard the name Alex Becker. I'll have to just double check my notes somewhere. I'm sure I've seen it
just think of a empty
drop that one
pad.
Yeah, if you're interested. I've been in in the community for years, so it's just really interesting to have this topic come up within that.
Yeah, for sure. What were you saying, Action? You know the name in the space.
Yeah, no, just think of an empty pad. Kai can't hear me, that's why. It's okay. Let him talk.
So every time, something's mentioned, I'm very inclined to have a look in. And I think, yeah, MASQ is very interesting. I've got a little bit of money in there. So, yeah, I'm very curious to see what you guys have in terms of building within the next, 6-month period while we're ramping up in the market now. And, yeah, I like the tech.
Yeah, thanks, man. Pretty appreciate your comments. Your questions are really good, and I'll definitely check out that group. I think Action, you were saying something about Alex or the group there.
Yeah, I don't think Kai can hear me right now. That's probably the issue there. Sometimes it happens when speakers come up and down. But Alex, just think of an empty like penthouse with a guy in a hoodie and glasses. That's Alex. I'm sure you've seen him around. He's just getting into gaming right now as well. That's the other thing. So he just did a partnership with WagMe Games. He's got a couple of things going on, so I can get you connected.
Oh yeah. Cool. No, I'll have a look, man. Was he a self-made guy from software? Did he sell a software company?
Yeah.
Yes, he had an AI
still
company
has
called
it.
Hyros, and Neo Tokyo is kind of like his NFT networking brainchild type of thing. So that's where I get all my alpha from.
I see. Okay. Yeah, I definitely have seen him. I just looked him up. Cool. Okay, I'll have a look at that, man. I can't say we'll, jump in with the brand aligning with KOLs in the space. That's a big thing I really want to always look at closely in who we align ourselves with. But I mean, I'm happy to talk to him or just see what he's about, what he's interested in. And just network, that's the name of the game. The space is not as big as people think, man. Like some of the people I spoke to the last few days, I mentioned, a partner and like, oh, you know him. And I'm like, yeah, I spoke to him last week. And they're like, oh, wow, really? And these builders are all like, they kind of all know, like the good ones, like the holistic and the down to earth, everyone seems to like have a good connection with others who they respect. And it's good to know when you get into that, circle that you can join some great people as well. So yeah, thanks for that, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for your time. It's been very insightful, and I really appreciate it, bro.
All good. Thanks for your questions too. It's great to talk about, stuff that's on people's minds, and other places, other projects in the space who are doing similar things. I think we had someone else who was going to be a speaker, although they put their hand down. Was R3A? I think I saw him come up. But if anyone else wants to ask a question or just maybe give us an idea of how you like using MASQ, you can go live on air and tell me in action how much you love the browser or what you don't like about it. I mean, I'm happy for honesty. It's not, it's a work in progress. We're always iterating it, making it better.
Hopefully Kai can hear me now. You mentioned that, MASQ is not a hardware thing. It's not, it's all based on anybody can join, kind of lowering the barrier to entry. But that's now. That doesn't mean that tomorrow, somebody can't start spinning up some node, MASQ node and putting it up for sale, right?
I feel like that's a trick question, right? Because I don't want to tell people to do it because, like, this is what I don't want or what we
I'm gonna
don't want.
do it. I'm gonna do it. Like,
I'm not gonna sell it. Like,
I'm gonna give it away, but like, I'm still gonna do it.
Yeah, hobbyists go for gold, man. I've had people say, "I'm gonna buy a fleet of Raspberry Pis," and this was like some mastermind plan that someone who's really passionate, maybe a year ago now. They're like, yeah, man, I work at different universities and stuff. I'm going to put a bunch of Raspberry Pis with MASQ running on it in all these universities around, hide them in the library, have them connect and all this. And I'll just have all these nodes like running all over the place. And I was like, you know what? You could do that. Like, I'm not saying go do it. Don't say that Carrie told you to do it or MASQ told us to do it. But, that is it's a thing. You could run it on Raspberry Pis and even Pi Zero. We got it to run on a Pi Zero. I mean, that's like a tiny little circuit board, and you can pretty much put that in a wallet, It's kind of crazy. So the sky's the limit, Action. If you want to build some cool stuff.
I mean, I have a couple of hundred helium miners that are just gathering dust. I might as well put them to good use, right?
Wow, a couple hundred. Well, you speak of helium, like I saw them kind of rise and fall a little bit. Not to say that they've fallen completely out of grace. It's just they had this great network and this great adoption rate, at least their numbers spoke to that. Are there lots of users on it, like actually consuming?
No, they were bringing in less than $5,000 a month from their usage, and they had like entire cities, operating on their network. That's why they pivoted into the 5G, because it just was not working out too well as far as rewards are concerned. But they did build a great network. Like, it's a much needed. The crazy thing is that, and please, anybody listening to me saying this is a little wild, but it is true. You can get the coverage that Helium has with satellites way easier, because there's no interference with the signal, and that frequency, you can literally just beam it up and down from satellites. The same way that they're doing now satellite phones, just changing the bands and allowing satellites to communicate with cell phones. Like, it's a much easier way to do it, and it's nice having that connectivity. But they focus on LoRaWAN, and they did everything around LoRaWAN, and they pumped that way too hard. And it's, again, the demand versus the usage of the network. When you have that big, it's just not right. When you have a lot more people serving than using, it messes up the ratios, right? Like, that's why I always worry about bringing in the Moon Boys into any project, because sure, there's money to be made, but the liquidity has to come from somewhere. So if there's way too many people serving, for example, versus how many people are actually utilizing the network, that's not always a good thing. So the growth of MASQ is the healthiest possible, in my opinion. And I've been part of other VPN projects. I've given away plenty of hardware for other projects, and ultimately, like, I will only do what I said I was going to do as far as nodes are concerned for MASQ, if it's like to benefit the network and not to get people like, I'm going to make a bunch of money off of it. Like, that's not the right approach. That's not what I want to see with the network, and it's not something I support. Like, I want people to use it as well as serve. Like, serving is important for the growth of the network, the stability of the network, but the usage of it is also critical. Otherwise, what do we have? We have a one-sided deal that ends up like, well, Helium.
Yeah, it was like, when I first saw it come out a couple of years back, I think 4 years ago, when they really started pushing their expansion, I was like, yeah, that's kind of a cool idea, like, especially those countries that don't have good coverage of networks and things, and they could use that basically to like bootstrap, peer Wi-Fi or peer, bandwidth coverage for people. But then I heard feedback saying, oh, well, you need to put this antenna on your roof, and there's areas where they don't like this type of stuff, or you're not allowed to use those bands of frequency without a license. So if people looked at your roof and saw it running, they could, peg you and say, oh, he's running that thing. Let's tell him to take it down. It was just like really crazy to rely on hardware. So yeah, I mean, there is a big, wouldn't say blocker. It's just a very, very different business strategy when you rely on hardware as your go-to-market, and also to adopt users to build the network for you, right? There's a lot of different dynamics there. So, if you take that out of the equation, you have a different landscape of building a product and getting it shipped to users and then having users adopt it. So it can be easier, it can be harder, it's probably different, but in a lot of ways it's easier for the end user, especially if they don't have to buy anything, right? They just download something. And then you don't have to worry about where do they live. Well, how do we ship hardware to that person? What if they live? To be fair, like our tech is actually good for humanity. It's going to save lives. It's going to release open information. It's going to free journalism. It's going to help people communicate with loved ones who are in censored countries. I mean, that's not going to be a friendly place for tech like this to just go into the wild, right? So software is much easier to go to those countries in need than hardware. And that's a big reason why we never chose hardware, at least not now, as a MASQ rollout strategy. But if you're like Action and you've got loads of cool stuff and toys and you want to tinker with it, like, man, I love how we're also the place for that, because our MASQ core is built in Rust. If anyone has any knowledge of Rust, you'll know that you can compile it to almost any device. Like, you could basically crack or root an Android phone, put Graphene OS on it, add some command line tools, and run it on a phone. Or you can run it on a router, like that type of thing. It's you can do it with technical knowledge. So that's cool. There will be such cool stuff like you and I haven't even thought of, action that people are going to start building in the next year, and then coming to us saying, wow, look at this cool thing, man. I've made like a super node, but have a look. And I'm really excited to see what they do.
Yeah, I can't wait for that to happen, because that's when I get excited. Because honestly, my biggest hindrance in all of this is time. Like, if I had more time, I would be just, like I would have way more things taken apart. And right now I have 5 different devices that are open on my desk. And if I had the time, it'd be way more than that. And it's fun, right? Like, to me, it's exciting. And like you said, there is a barrier, right? Like, when you put hardware requirements around things, it does make it a little bit more difficult for people to participate in the network. It's a lot easier to smuggle in a piece of software than a hardware device, if you're trying to get out into freedom. Maybe if you're in a country that you can't have access to the internet, or free access, open access to the internet. Like, I fully agree with you. So, making sure that the limitations aren't there is a big deal. Are there benefits to hardware? Yeah, you can make a lot of money. Like, there's a lot of money to be made in hardware. Like, don't be mistaken. A lot of the people that are selling hardware, one of the reasons they do it is because it's profitable. They'll take a little Raspberry Pi that's cost them, $59, and they're going to put their little software on it, add an antenna for another $50, and everything that they need for compliance. And now they're selling a device that should cost $100, 120 max, and they make it 600. And yeah,
I think you've just described a project that was just mentioned recently. With how it's being done. So I turn a blind eye to that, knowing that, to me, I don't agree. I wouldn't do it that way. Every project to their own. Like, teams have to be responsible for how they do things, and stand up to criticism in a positive way, take it on board. I feel like hardware is not the right path for that sort of thing. And especially if people can DIY it. Like you said, right? You can just buy a Raspberry Pi. Like, they're getting a little more expensive for the latest ones, but probably $100 for the whole thing, and you can make something, right? You run it if you're technical.
Well, you can run more than just one thing, because MASQ is pretty stinking light. So that node is not just running MASQ; it's running other things as well. Like, and that's part of what I'm doing right now with a lot of the things that I have on, open. Like, I have a node that, this little thing costs $500 and it's making $800 a month, and I'm like, all right, cool. Let me see what's actually inside. Because most people, they just white label things, right? Like, they put their little sticker on it, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is our device. I'm like, no, it's not. You just put a sticker on top of this thing. Let me see what's inside.
Oh, if they want to upgrade, they 3D. If they want an upgrade from a sticker, they 3D print an enclosure, which is like $3, and then they brand it, and that looks custom.
Yep, there you go. That's exactly how to do it. I feel bad because I've gotten paid to advise companies on how to do that. Like, but you're right. You're dead on.
Well, but here's the good thing about if there is projects doing that strategy, it's not all throwing shade and stuff on those methods. If the money is going to the developers and then making that protocol better, and it's used properly, that's all well and good, But there's all this trust factor that happens in those types of areas. And those things are not on chain, where some people who do value that visibility or transparency don't have that, because you don't, even like corporations now, like, unless they're publicly traded, you don't get an open book of their financials and what they're spending money on. If they're living in flash apartments in New York and having parties every weekend, you wouldn't know. Right? They could be like using all the money for living the high life and doing the bare minimum on the public scene. I'm not saying anyone we mentioned is doing that, but it could happen. When things are on chain and your revenue model is something inspectable in crypto, which more projects should be, if they're doing it like from a community up way, then that's good. That's wholesome. And then people could say, well, how are you funding development? Well, we have this and we have this, and you can see the model here, and this is the on-chain activity, and and look at the stats, and then people can ask questions, you know?
You're definitely talking about one of the SAMs that we talked about earlier today. I think SBF that definitely did that.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's the Sam of the hour, isn't he? He's good, but you know, he's naturally good at trading. I mean, I hear he's a fish tradesman. He's swapping
Very
mackerel
true.
for haircuts.
Very
Yeah.
true. I did hear that as well. That's pretty impressive. I mean, if he's setting any stop losses, in jail.
Well, you know, see, all those limit orders he's doing with mackerel have an expiry date, because that fish is going to be off if he sits on that leverage play too long, you know?
That was beautiful. I really needed that tonight.
Oh my God. I just saw that headline and I was laughing. Like, my wife was like, "What the hell's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "Remember that crazy guy with the frizzy hair that had all the shakes? And I showed you a video one time." And she's like, no, your nerdiness, stupid stuff. I didn't remember that. I'm like, "Yeah, that guy's in jail and he's trading fish for haircuts." And she's like, "I'm just going to have a wine. Like, when you're ready to sit down and watch some Netflix with me, just let me know." I was like, oh, crash and burn with my little fun antics.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean he's a tradesman at heart, I guess you can say, huh? He's never gonna give it up.
Oh, bro, that was just the funniest thing I ever saw. But you know, like, you gotta stick to what you know, man. Like, if you're a wheeler dealer, like, that's his protection in there, man. If he's not got value, then he's going to be someone's B, you know, and it's not good. I don't know. He's probably in a pretty safe little unit, though.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I'm waiting to hear back from somebody that has direct contact with him. That's actually one of the things I need to check on this week before the week is over. But it's not all rainbows and butterflies in there. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. There's no one wants to be in there, and it's not going to be made fun, no matter how high profile you are. But it's funny. You don't want to don't stir the pot too much, man. He's only supposed to be having contact with his lawyers through a secure, isolated device, right? Like, I mean, he shouldn't be playing League of Legends and stuff during shower time or anything crazy like that.
He did ask if he would have internet access to somebody. Yeah. So Martin, one of the notorious CEOs that ended up going to jail for fraud.
Martin Shkreli. Yep.
Yeah, he's a good dude, man. I like Martin. He's funny.
He definitely is, bro. His personality is something, you know, you kind of can listen to him for a while and you're like, this guy's kind of cool, man. I can see him wheeling and doing his thing, like getting by, you know, with the big wigs.
Okay, fine. I'm friends with him. Let me just say, I'll put it out there. And getting to hear from him, like, some of the stuff that went down with, like, SBF asking him, like, it was just a riot. Like, if you ever get a chance to talk to him on a space, just ask, "Hey, can you tell me a little bit more about Sam? Like, what was he curious about?" Because that right there, like, that is worth gold. Just his stories about, like, the way that Sam was essentially clueless about what prison life would be or could be like. Because at that point, he had no idea if he was going to go to jail or not. But here we are.
Oh man, yeah. It's just good to see. I don't wish on ill will to anybody, but all I felt after that whole thing ended with a verdict was just like, it's good. It's, in a way, it's good that someone has taken a fall for something, because all the implosions that we've had this last year and a half, it's almost like everyone gets away scot-free. They just escape to another country and live under the radar until they get extradited, who knows when. And so some of the people have started getting, you know, like, made responsible for ruining a lot of people's lives. Like, it's kind of like, okay, well, you know, I don't agree with the methods. I don't agree with the overcooked regulatory capture and shit that they're all trying to peddle over there, especially in the US. But you know what? We just have to survive and just do the right thing for the most amount of people, right? These old generation career politicians, and, like, I want to, you know, tangent into politics because that's quite a crazy topic, which probably, hopefully, all of you have avoided well on Thanksgiving, by the way. But they're all going to expire, guys. How old are these people? We just got to survive another 5-10 years and wait for them to just disappear, and then hopefully we'll get some sanity in the mix. But we still got to fight for the right stuff and lead with our example of culture, you know, that we want. So keeping our own to account is a good way to do it, right? That's why on-chain's king. You know, you got to give a shout out to the people that are the on-chain sleuths that do hunt down these scammers and bad people who are making the space look bad, you know?
So analytics is good. Is that what we were saying here? Like, tracking people down on chain is a good thing?
I will not
I love putting you
say
in the back
Arkham.
spot, man.
Yeah. I do not like the docs to earn method of Arkham. That's something I don't think is good for the space, but they've done it. And, you know, that's an interesting thing that's popped up. Maybe it's helped.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe there'll be a story where it's helped do something good.
Arkham does not like me very much, just because I was able to, within like a couple of minutes, pull up stuff of how they stuff that they say, like, oh, it's not trackable. Wait, it is trackable. We're not tracking anything. Oh, wait, we are tracking things. Yeah,
they were loaded with so much of that stuff. Yeah. It was a terrible way. Yeah, man.
R3A, you know, is requesting back up. We're
closing. Yeah,
you want to give it a chance here? Take a shot.
Yep. We'll close out with the questions from our friend here, R3A. Let's invite you in. What happened here?
It's a new account. This is definitely a gamble.
He's got to make a good impression.
Yeah, I got to get that button ready. You know what I mean? Just in case. Just in case. Yes. I mean, you refused to say the B word, but then you said shit. So there is that.
Yeah, we'll roll with what. Yeah, I'm sorry to throw you off there. You're up, R3. Can you hear us?
I wanted to ask, how far away are we from mainnet?
Oh, yes. Good. You know, that question has actually been hiding a little bit. A lot of people were asking it before we went to .NET, actually, like, what's the roadmap? We are still pushing for that. I will say, you know, we had some high hopes of it being end of year. There's still a chance we could. But again, we don't want to stick to dates. We have a very strong culture of not giving dates publicly. So we don't have a date set for it. But we are on track to, you know, keep pushing for it. And really, there's just a few things left for us as a core team where we felt the state of the MASQ core software and also the browser, where we felt those would be great for it to be mainnet ready. One of those things is the node hop feature. So if you're a user now, R3A, you'll notice in the top right, there's a little button you can click, and it opens up this little slider, and you'll be able to slide between the MASQ default privacy of 3 hops on the network when you browse, all the way down to 2 or up to 6, you know, whether you want to decrease your security level and increase your speed, or increase your security and have a little bit less speed. That was one of the main options that we see as being needing to be done before mainnet. And then there's a couple UI changes that we're making now too, just to make the serving and consuming a little easier for new users to sort of like interact with now, and make it just easier for people to sort of toggle between them. Part of that is what we're going to call the price limiter. This is not something that people have seen too much, or any wireframes, I don't think. But what we wanted to have as a feature is a limiter where if you're a MASQ user in the browser, you can limit how much you want to spend. Because on mainnet, what we don't want to have, we want to reduce the chance of people maybe just having it run and start going, oh, I love this, and they realize, wow, I'm starting to spend a lot of MASQ. You know, I didn't expect that. We want to have a limiter in there that at least prompts you to say, well, if I've spent $10 worth of MASQ or 100 tokens, I want you to turn off my browser node. I want you to switch MASQ off so I don't start spending all of my tokens. So that was a key too. So once you see those done, you'll know that MASQ mainnet's right around the corner, because that's when it gets real, guys and girls. That's when the token is live, the utility mechanism is live. And we're doing with real utility tokens on mainnet. So there's going to be a cost for people. So no dates set in stone. We're still trying to push forward in the next couple months with that. But those are the key areas that we see as requirements.
Can I do hop 0? I mean, I can use like Google Chrome or something like that. No hop like that.
Yeah, actually, well, no hop would be not using the network really, or if you want like a VPN style, I guess you could try and do 2 hops, or we're scoping to see if 1 hop is possible. That's basically meaning you're only, you know, sending your traffic to your next door neighbor on the mesh network. But with some users, actually, if you are slightly technical, right now, you can use our MASQ core software, which is open source, and run it locally on your computer from command line. And then you can proxy. A lot of browsers let you proxy. So if you know what that is, essentially you can set up a proxy where browser traffic from Google Chrome, or I think Firefox is one of the easiest ones to proxy with. Some of them have extensions that can let you proxy. It will send what you're doing in that browser, your default browser. It will send that through to the MASQ software that's running on your computer, and that goes across the MASQ network, and you can browse like that. But right now, that's fixed at a 3-hop route. So you're still going to be using the MASQ network for 3 hops and have a difference in your speed. But you can do that on testnet. So you can use the test tokens for that too. If you don't want to use our browser, you can do it in that technical way to browse with other browsers, but still use MASQ network. Hopefully that makes some sense. If you're not technical, you might have thought I was just speaking Klingon to you, but yeah.
Yeah, I have one more doubt that imagine like there are few computers in America and I want to hop between them, like not within countries, but with not in different countries, but within that country if I want to hop.
So you mean like choosing your area, like choose to just have US content?
Yes, I choose an area, but it should hop different computers like that. I'm not that much technical guy, but hopping means changing the computers, right?
We do. It kind of will do that now. Like there is a bit of randomization or route changes that happen. So when you're browsing right now, it's not always going to use the same computers that you interact with as the other peers. So it's not always going to go to like say user 500 who lives in California every time you try and browse to a certain site that might be in the States. It might go to them one time, and then maybe the next time you browse, it might go to user 1,000 who's in, let's say, New York, in that region. So if the content is there in that region from users and it's available to retrieve, it will hit any number of users in that area. It's kind of random, so the routes are always changing. And the reason that's actually in the design is you don't want something that is always an obvious pattern, right? If you have obvious patterns, then you can create heuristical analysis. You can see, oh, well, this stuff always happens in this order, in this place. There's something strange going on here. Like we want it to look relatively innocent, but also random, not always the same. So right now it does that a little bit. We don't, just to remind you if you missed that part of our live today, we don't have the exit country as a choice yet in MASQ. So you can't choose to go to America and have that content automatically guaranteed. But if you browse and refresh sites and stuff, you'll get to a lot of those servers there if the content's available there. It won't really take you to a US user if you're trying to browse a site that isn't available there. It's going to fail and hop you through someone else. So that's built in too. So yeah, hopefully that answered your question about hopping between users in the same country.
Yeah, I also had one question. Like yesterday in YouTube, you said that we can choose how much other users should pay for our routing services, right?
That's an upcoming dynamic that we haven't got yet. So that is the future. That is a future where you will be able to adjust your services, like dynamically. So that is possible. I'm sorry if it sounded like that's live now. It isn't live now. Right now it's a fixed rate in testnet, but we want to have that very soon, if not before mainnet ready, so people can adjust, even on a slider perhaps, rates for their traffic. But just so you know, anyone listening, the way that works is it's not quite a race to zero, but your local, like when you run MASQ, your MASQ software is going to try and pick the cheapest route every time. It doesn't want you to pay for expensive routing if there's a route that's cheaper and still gets you to the same location, right? So there will be like a dynamics to like free market dynamics that'll happen where users who are charging just the right amount, they're going to get quite a bit of traffic compared to someone who tries to set it really, really high, and they're sitting there for a few days running, serving, and they're like, why am I not earning anything? And it's probably because they're really high compared to the neighbors around them. So, there'll be a little bit of, I guess, trial and error testing when we finish building that part. But in the future, that's what we definitely want. We want the market to be able to be dynamic. Users can charge different amounts, and users can adjust it.
I mean, so you want to say that whenever it will hop to the cheapest price, right?
Correct. Yeah. If you're like, let's say you're wanting to go to Facebook.com, for example, or I know it's probably a bad example because I don't like Facebook. Let's say you're trying to go to uniswap.org, and your neighbor, your awareness of the network might have 50 neighbors in your list that you know of, just anonymously with public keys is how you identify them. 50 neighbors. It's going to start calculating a whole bunch of routes, and then it ranks them. Which of these routes is the most desirable? And the biggest weighting in that ranking is the cheapest. So it's going to go cost first. If it's trying a route that's already been tried and that site is not available on that route because the exit node might be in a place that can't get Uniswap, for example, it will strike off that route and not use it, and you'll go to a different one. And it will keep doing that, trying to keep your routing the cheapest possible. And then where that kicks into the node thing, the node hop adjuster, is if you're adjusting to more hops, the routes might be a little more expensive because you've got an extra hop, but it's still going to try and give you the cheapest route. So if you're doing 4 hops instead of 3, it'll pick that fourth hop, it'll pick the cheapest hop for you. So it's still going to always try and give you the cheapest routing locally. So it's all controlled by each user. It can't be messed with by external forces, or someone can game the system and make you pay heaps for no reason. It's very hardened against that because that's how it's designed. So it's always going to pick the cheapest.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you.
All good. Thanks for being brave and coming up to speak. Usually we have a lot of quiet listeners. Today we had 2 really good speakers with good questions. So R3A, thank you for your time, good sir. Appreciate you coming up. And I think that's us, man. We went a little over an hour, which is good. Had a good laugh as well and dropped a little bit of alpha. For those who lasted all this time, listened all this time, the person who liked us this week on Twitter, I might as well leak it now, was Mr. Ivan on Tech. And I spoke to him for a little while. It was great. Really nice guy, really down to earth. He gave us some tips on what he thought was good first impressions of the browser. And he told me he would try it. So we're going to follow up with him sometime soon, but it was great to meet him and talk to him. So cool to see we have some fans, in the space.
You don't give yourself enough credit, man. Like, a lot of people are interested in what MASQ is doing. We just don't always see it publicly. Personally, I got 4 accounts on X. And when I'm checking things out, I'm never on my main one.
Oh, you're a sneaky one, eh? You're lurking. You're a lurker.
Whoa. I just take things to heart, I remember back when, somebody told me to do at least 2 hops. And I'm like, no, I want to stick to this one.
5 hops this time.
I think it's important to make sure that you're private whenever you can be.
That's good. You're smart, man. A lot of these people, they need to learn, it might cost you a couple extra bucks when X rolls out that dollar thing, but it's worth it, Got to have that different perspective.
$5 a year, that's my threshold right there. So for a burner account. But here's the thing, and I'll give this little tip. People don't realize how important it is for you to have different, X accounts. Is you can check if your stuff is actually getting published the right way. And if you have been around long enough, you get the cool features. I'm actually I have the God access of Twitter right now, where I can do community notes in one of my older accounts. And it's not a public account. I don't have my face on there. Nobody knows it, but I can community note anybody.
Wow, that's cool, man. I don't even know how that works, in terms of having the what is it? You got to have a sort of tenured status as a verified human user, right?
Yeah, so they really approach the accounts that have been on the platform for a while. That was their first thing. I don't even pay for Twitter Blue or anything on that other account. But they gave me access to community notes just because I've been around long enough. I haven't, gotten any strikes or done anything wrong.
Godfathered in sort of thing with your
exactly. Yeah, because I use the account. There's nothing. I'm not gonna lie. I use the account. And it's just a matter of, hey, I'm still here, I'm real, and yeah. So yeah, MASQ is protected when it comes to community notes. I got you,
my man. I'm glad that you can keep us going here. But if you see anything that needs to be like, what do you call it? Community endorsed in terms of fact. Well, I know I can tap you on the shoulder, be like, hey man, like look at this thing. You need your magic on here. But
anytime.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Today was fun, man. Today was fun. We got to talk about a bunch of Sams. We figured out that Sam Wise is our favorite. You dropped alpha, like you want to launch mainnet by the end of the year, but you're not going to promise anything to anybody because you don't do that. You talked about Ivan on Tech actually reaching out to MASQ and like going, hey, what are y'all doing? I want to check this thing out. You mentioned something about an exchange, but people have to listen back into what you actually said there. I'm not going to repeat it. I'm not relying on the notes. So if anybody missed that one, that's an important one to listen back, because I think that was my favorite one because I knew about all the other ones.
Yeah. Well, there was room to step up. Remember, someone I'm hoping will rise out of the community and be like the unofficial librarian, right? They can, or the archivist. They can like make a recap of these sessions and then post it out for everyone to say, hey, look, here's what you missed. Like, this is the cool stuff, and let people kind of digest it. Because, sometimes people don't want to listen to the whole thing. But if those who do, or those who've been here the whole time, the whole session, hats off to you. You got it all. So, yeah, I'm stoked that everyone got to spend time with us today. And it was fun today. I had a good time.
It was, but can you do our closing? Can you do the closing the only way you know how? Because I think we need that.
Oh, okay, man. I'm getting well practiced at this. This is good. This is good, pitching practice for me. So yeah, if you're new and you haven't heard about MASQ until now, you're in the right place. At MASQ, we believe that our modern digital world should not have barriers online. And we don't believe that tracking, blocking, and censoring citizens every day should be an everyday thing. We want our personal data to be just that, personal. We don't want it to be harvested, monetized, sold to the highest bidder. And everyday people shouldn't get geo-blocked by the powers that be, or just because they live in a certain place. They should be able to access information all around the world, news, socials, and interact with their family when they want. And so we've built MASQ Network and a software suite to offer this with a way it's powered by peers for peers. So it's a censorship-resistant access to the world, to the content around the world. And the solution is basically giving everyone borderless browsing. So we do that through our flagship product, MASQ Web3 browser. It's out now on public testnet. You can check it out at maskbrowser.com. Download it today. You can get the latest version on that website, and it will auto-update as we push out updates. And it's live on Windows, Mac OS, and Linux in different flavors. And there's no hardware required. You can do it just with the install. And the software is powered by you. So when you start it up, you're going to be able to access all the sites that you want through the peer network. There's no tracking, there's no logging, and there's no central services running it. It's all about the users, all through decentralization. So MASQ gives you all user privacy, but also a fun place to experience Web3 with access to content around the world and not relying on VPN or Tor. It's its own alternative for those technologies. So experience that today in a truly decentralized, borderless browsing way through MASQ Browser. If you want to chat with us after, sorry if there are people we missed on questions or who wanted to come up on stage and on the spaces and speak, jump into our Discord and chat with us there. We'll hang out for a little bit. You can get in there, discord.gg/MASQ. Slap a follow on us on our account if you're new as well here on X. Subscribe if you want to get a heads up on these spaces. They're same time every week. And with that, thank you again for co-hosting my man Action. Always a pleasure to speak to you and have some fun. And thanks for the sound effects today, man. You were on point.
I appreciate it. And I mean, tonight was awesome. And I got to say thanks. And this is the way I know how.